Okay guys, in this video I'm going to explain about IK controller and FK controller. Hide this geo. Go to polygon modeling. I just select polygon cube over here, then press F. Basically I need a wireframe. So for this, under create we have curve tool. Under curve tool, CV curve tool, then click on this channel box, reset first. For this time I'm using first linear. Okay, then press V and create wireframe for this wrist controller. After creating controller, press enter, then delete this polygon primitive. Okay, so now I have wireframe model of this cube. Now rename first. So this is right wrist controller. Then select this controller and create group. So this group called wrist controller group. So this is right wrist controller group. So now I have controller and controller group, and I want this controller group snap to wrist joint. Okay, so first you need to select right wrist controller group, then select wrist joint. Okay, go to modify, use mass transformation tool, and I need to go to modify, use mass transformation tool. So it will snap to the wrist joint. Make sure both axes are same. Like if we are using y-axis as a primary axis, then controller always have a y as a primary axis and joint always have a y as a primary axis. Okay, make sure translate and rotation value 0 and scale 1. So after creating wrist controller, next one is elbow controller. Okay, first you need to create a controller. So this time I'm using circle. So after creating circles, rename first. This is elbow controller. This is right elbow control. Okay, group it. This is called right elbow controller group. So after creating elbow controller and controller group, we need to snap this controller over here, means to the elbow joint. So there are two different methods for this controller snap to this joint. Okay, so first you can use first select controller group, then select joint, go to modify and freeze transformations. Okay, so it will snap to this joint, but this time I'm using different techniques. Okay, so for this you need to just select shoulder, elbow and wrist joint. Okay, then select controller group. Go to constraint, parent constraint, make sure reset, then maintenance offset off, then add. Okay, so this is called constraint techniques. So after snapping, make sure delete constraint. So now I have elbow controller over here. Okay, so now I need to place this controller behind this elbow joints. Why? Because of IK directions. Okay, for this, first you need to select controller group. Don't select elbow controller, okay, directly. First you need to select elbow controller group, then use Z translate value -4. Okay. See, make sure all attributes like translate, rotation are 0. Okay, so now I have elbow controller. Then I'm gonna reduce this radius. Yes, after creating elbow controller, you need to create a pole vector constraint, because I want it will control by the pole vector constraints. Okay, so first you need to select elbow controller, then select IK handle. Okay, go to constraint and apply pole vector constraint. So basically pole vector constraint means it will control by this weight. If I switch on this box, now you can see here it is, we have weight option. So weight means it will divide into two different parts. First one is wrist to elbow and elbow to shoulder. So if I using one, that means it will divide into 50% part of this weight, like 50% from wrist to elbow and 50% from elbow to shoulder. Okay, and if I rotate this wrist controller, now I can control elbow joint separately. Okay, so if I want, if this controller will follow, for this I need to create a follow controller group on this controller. Okay, first you need to select this controller, this is called elbow controller. Okay, then press F and create another group. So this group called elbow controller follow group. Elbow controller follow group. Okay, elbow controller follow group. So now next one is to make a connection between elbow controller follow group to this wrist controller. Then you need to select elbow controller follow group. Okay, go to constraint and apply parent constraint. Reset first, this time maintenance offset on and add. So if I move this controller separately, so I'm done with my IK handle. Next